Yes,
So
ma'am is
all
coming
our
in.
esteemed speakers have been given the privilege of a co-host, so they can mute and unmute themselves. So please feel free to, as and when required, you can please unmute yourself and take your turn. Thank you.
Purnima, I'm so happy that you found the right link. She was having some issues with the link now. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
Mr. Kohli just called me and he was worried. Purnima ji, you don't have a link, correct link. Purnima ji, you are on mute.
Gurmeet, you're from Delhi, or where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Delhi, yes.
Delhi, okay. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Pundi sahab, you don't need any introduction.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Hi, Veer.
Just a minute.
I'm so
I
sorry,
think
I was on mute.
Mr. Ahmed Kumar is.
Namaskar to everyone.
Yeah, thank you
We'll
and
start.
welcome to you.
We'll just start in a minute.
Sure.
I can see CGI Atlanta is joined in, but she's not there herself. So
Just coming.
she's coming. Good.
She's already there. She's already there.
All right.
Morning, Amit ji. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Purnima.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, morning. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah. So
Okay,
nice
friends.
to see all of you.
Yeah. So I think we'll start now. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you to this session, and particularly our Consul General in Atlanta, our Consul General in Chicago, two of our senior diplomats in the US. We also have three important industry associations or bilateral chambers, US-India Business Council, IT-Serve, and National US-India Council chamber, which Dr. Purnima Warrior is representing. So look forward to very good interaction today. We have some outstanding speakers. And just to give you a background, IndiaSoft is a show that we created actually at the request of customers in the US. Many of them said, we know your large companies, we know your TCS, Infosys, Wipro. Where are the tier 2 and tier 3 companies? This is way back in the year 2000. Indian IT was at peak. We were doing the Y2K work for the world. And so there were smaller projects that the bigger companies could not handle. So we would tell them at that time, Electronics and Software Export Council had about 1,600 members, and we would share the member directory with them. And they would turn back and say, look, tell us some good 20, 30 companies. We can't talk to 1,600 companies. And we would say that we can't discriminate between our members. And that's the time when we talked to our Department of Commerce and requested them that we want to create a platform where Indian IT, which is very well known and very well respected in the world, people want to meet our tier 2, tier 3 companies, and we would showcase our tier 2, tier 3 companies. So that's how we began in the year 2000. Over the years, it's really grown, it evolved. Government of India had programs where they wanted to promote emerging markets. So we had buyers coming in from Africa, from Middle East, from Latin America, and slowly it acquired an international flavor. So as per our knowledge, this is the largest IT show for small and medium enterprises anywhere in the world. And now business doesn't happen just between India and US or India and UK. Many times the US company is doing business with a company in Africa at the IndiaSoft show. So welcome to the show. This is the first time we are doing it on a digital platform. We were very apprehensive when we decided to do it on a digital platform. Normally we do it physically. Last time was in Hyderabad. And we are happy to share with you that more than 2,500 companies from 70 countries have already visited IndiaSoft. So through this session today, I would request all of you to please invite, we are open till the 31st of March, to please invite companies to whoever are connected with you to come and visit the digital exhibition, IndiaSoft, which has about 150 Indian companies from all domains and also from all parts of India. So we have some 12 major clusters of IT. Like the southern clusters, you have Chennai, Hyderabad, Trivandrum, and Bangalore, of course. That's the number one. And you have in the west, you have Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad, you have Kolkata and Bhubaneswar in the east. And you have in the north, Delhi, Noida, and Gurgaon, the national capital region. So these 150 companies come from all IT clusters of India. Another important thing we realized was that trade is a two-way thing. We should not just be talking about selling software services to the world, which we are good at. Last year, India's export was $143 billion. But we should also be telling the world that we ourselves have a large digital economy in the country. Thanks to our Prime Minister, the programs that were started in the last 5 or 10 years, we have now got a digital economy which is supposed to surpass $1 trillion by 2025, as per a McKinsey report. So the large IT players from the US, whether it is IBM or Google or Microsoft, they have been in India for a long time, and India is a very important market for them. And now we invite the small and mid-sized companies to participate in India's digital economy. So what we really are offering is come partner with our companies. Finding 150 companies in one location is not easy. Here you have 150 companies who are potential partners, co-develop in India, not only for the world market, but also for the Indian market, which is a very large market, $1 trillion market. So that is our value proposition, which we are talking about. And both US-India Business Council is an important bilateral chamber between the two countries. IT Serve, I know IT Serve members, they are already in Hyderabad particularly. Many of the IT Serve members have a location in Hyderabad, either as a joint venture or as a fully owned company. And now by the IndiaSoft Connect, they can look beyond Hyderabad, depending on the competence of their Indian partner. Because the market in US is huge, and our large companies, they service not only the Fortune 500, but the global 2000 companies is driven by Indian IT. And there's no reason why the small and mid-sized companies in the US should not also benefit from our IT strengths. And with this background, I'm so happy to see our additional secretary, Mr. Sanjay Chadda, who is actually in the Department of Commerce. He looks after not only United States, but many other important countries like Japan, Korea. He's a trade negotiator for Korea. And so we are very happy that he is with us today. He's from the Indian Railway Service and studied in the UK, and also has done his MBA program from the Faculty of Management Studies in University of Delhi, which I happen to be an alumni from there. So welcome to the session, Mr. Chadda. We are so happy that you are here, and we are looking forward to hearing from you the opening remarks. So over to Mr. Chadda, please.
Thank you very much, Nalinji, Chairman IndiaSoft, and good morning and good evening respectively to our friends who have joined from the US and from India. And it's very nice to see Dr. Swati and Amit also here from CGI is there, and also Jayesh and Saurabh. I would like to start by congratulating you, Mr. Nalin Kohli, because your IndiaSoft this time has been done though on a digital platform, but I think the outreach has been even more than when you used to hold the IndiaSoft face to face. So I am really happy that, you know, the IndiaSoft has really reached out, and over the last 10 days, We've been getting very good reports, and it's nice that you have also partnered with US IBC and IT Serve. So this is something that's really encouraging, and I congratulate you on running this very successful series, I would call it, of the India Soft 2021 edition. Let me just start by saying that, I'm also happy that this is the second event that you are doing in the United States. We understand that when it comes to IT, you are looking at the largest market in the world. You're looking at a market with whom we have a lot of synergies. If you see our IT cooperation dates back. In fact, I remember that when we were fresh out of college, a few of my colleagues joined Texas Instrument, and Bangalore was just coming up as the hub of IT, and it was all run by the American companies. And we've come a long way since then. The engagement has deepened, and some of the very, very encouraging developments that have taken place. I would like to also mention here that, we've come out with certain PLI schemes to make sure that investments get a proper direction in this country. Key critical components and supply chains are secured. We are also very encouraged at the political level, at the larger bonhomie between our two democracies. We find that, there is a lot of talk. If all of you saw the President Biden's trade agenda, you would find that he's spoken of cooperation among trusted allies. He's spoken of there is a bill in the Senate which is on technological cooperation between democracies. So all these are very encouraging signs which show that the relationship can move into a much deeper level, can move ahead, and can move in a very encouraging manner, in a manner that it is fruitful for both sides. Now, I will again repeat what I had said last time, that the IT game is not just for the big boys. There is enough room for the MSMEs and for the mid-segment IT companies to have a cooperation platform. And I'm very happy that you're providing this platform to the MSMEs on the two sides, because our MSMEs may be smaller in size, but they are much larger in numbers. They have specialized agendas, and they can better service the customized needs on either side. I would also like to mention that, if you look at the way things are going to move, there is going to be a lot of concern around 5G, IoT, future technologies. And I'm sure that these are areas which will provide ample platform for cooperation on both the sides. It would provide an ample opportunity for both the countries to move together. It would also provide that like-minded countries, as I would like to use in quotes, like-minded, there would be a bigger scope than from our traditional competitors. So the time to move is now. And it is a time when we need to engage to ensure and secure that future technologies cooperation is looked at. It's not just the present day business, it's the business of the future which has to come. Yours is a growing sector. Yours is a sector in which trade is increasing globally, not just bilaterally. And you create an ecosystem for the things to come, for delivery of services. And I think after the COVID came in, the thrust on IT has really become a shove, a violent shove, because the way everything was propelled into contactless businesses, contactless conduction of things, we find that the IT platforms became more and more relevant. In fact, the joke going around was that when all the economies were reeling, it was actually the IT companies and the pharma companies who made a lot of money during the pandemic. Of course, it is not something that's generally said of a pandemic, but yes, The IT companies have had a good run during the pandemic, and there is a great scope for it to grow further. New normal, as they call it, is something that's very deeply seeped in IT. And we must ensure that when we look at the new normal, there is not just an upgradation of technology, but there is a quantum change in the way we are going to be looking at doing businesses, looking at developing IT, looking at the futures. Of course, I understand there would be concerns related to IT. There is always a concern related to what laws are going to come in. What are the rules and regulations that are going to come in? What is going to happen about data privacy? So yes, these things will evolve over a period of time, but these should not be really taken as something that's a deterrent to the businesses, but should be taken as a part of the evolution process itself. And I think I need not add about our PLI schemes or our ease of doing business and our ranking. I would just like to say that I welcome all these small and medium enterprises from US and India who are here. I would invite those in US to come and set up shop in India. And I would like to assure you of all the cooperation that is possible from the government side for you to come and run your businesses successfully here. With these words, I once again extend my best wishes to all the delegates, exhibitors, and hope that India Soft 2021 will result in many new partnerships between the Indian and the US enterprises. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chadha, for your encouraging remarks. And it's very important that, you know, the SMEs in both the countries work together. They have an agenda, both the governments have an agenda for raising our trade to $500 billion. This would only be possible if the SMEs in both countries also work together, both not only in IT, but in other areas. But IT is one very important area between the two countries where we have existing cooperation which can be enhanced. So thank you very much for your remarks. And I would like to share with you, as you rightly said, COVID times, I wish should never have happened, but because of work from home and rapid digitalization, the numbers look as if we will grow a little despite COVID. And all over the world now, people want to do more computerization, more digitalization, more work from home. So the market really is growing, and that is where we can work together and share this opportunity between US companies and Indian companies. Thank you very much once again. I will now request Dr. Swati Vijay Kulkarni. Dr. Kulkarni is the Consul General of India in Atlanta. I had the privilege to do a roadshow for India Soft last year in Atlanta. She was keen that we should come there. And we normally, you know, we only are in New York or in Washington, DC, or in Chicago or in the Bay Area. And so it was a very good exposure to us to see a part of US which also needs Indian IT. And so welcome, Dr. Kulkarni. She is actually a medical doctor who joined the Foreign Service. I was very impressed with the kind of work they have done in the consulate in terms of bridges they built for us. And she has worked earlier as a regional passport officer in Mumbai, as a consul general in Cape Town, and deputy head of mission in Muscat and Oman. And so welcome, Dr. Kulkarni. I would request you now to share your views with us.
Thank you, Mr. Kohli. A warm greetings to all of you from here. It's a great pleasure to be here today at the 21st edition of Indian Exhibition and IT Exhibition and Conference organized by Global Soft. It's really good that you have done it, this virtual expo, because nowadays the way with pandemic and all, we do know that virtual has become actual. I'm happy that your experiment has worked well, and lots of participants are appreciating it, because it must have been very good, beneficial and productive and fruitful for everybody. See, such engagements offer useful insights for various businesses, for how to have many opportunities, how to navigate about them, how to optimize about all those opportunities they are listening to, and a way forward. So our region is called Southeast of USA, what we abbreviate as AC region. And we have done extensive outreach in 6 states. So we have Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, and 2 exotic ones, Puerto Rico and Tennessee. So this region is 2.7 trillion economy of USA, and it contributes 13% to the nation's GDP. Florida itself is a 1 trillion economy. So like India is a big fintech center of Asia, Georgia is a big fintech center for USA. 50 plus fintech companies are established here, and annual revenue of the state is $70 billion plus. And it's in fact called a transaction alley of the USA because more than 70% of payments passes through the payment processing funds that are located in Georgia. The Tennessee, another state, it's very good in healthcare, IT, and hospital management services. Again, they also contribute lots of revenue to the state, and it's $50 billion annually. And healthcare IT itself contributes $10 billion. So similarly, Florida, apart from fintech and hospital healthcare IT, there are lots of opportunities in Florida. So this region has 47 Fortune 500 companies, and lots of projects come out of these companies, where Indian companies can partner with US companies and bid for those projects. Our companies can come directly, or also they can form subsidiaries with US companies. So bilateral trade, merchandise trade, which we have seen with this region, is about $11 billion. There are 90 Indian companies which have invested $12 billion here and have helped in creating more than 5,000 jobs. And IT sector is a significant presence here in this region. So over the years, in last decade or so, we have seen lots of IT companies and more mid-sized IT companies that are coming here. And they are doing good business. I'm also surprised because 1,000 mid-sized IT companies are doing business right now in this area. So for example, let's say we have, the big IT players like Infosys and TCS. If overall they have 25,000 employees, in Atlanta itself they have 1,000 employees, and more than 2,500 employees in Southeast region. Then again, the Wipro and other company, which one? Take Mahindra. If they have overall 10,000 employees in USA, in Atlanta itself they have 100 and more than 200 in Southeast region. So similarly, somewhat similar numbers are given by L&T Infotech. So in addition to these big, well-established, well-entrenched people, we have mid-sized IT companies which have less than 500 or about 500 employees, or some 200, 300 employees. And they are really doing a very good business in this part of the world. Whenever I meet with any CEO of, let's say, Coca-Cola or UPS or Verizon or Home Depot or AT&T, they are always full of praise of Indian IT companies. They say they are very keen to have business with them, and they applaud them for their expertise, their cost competitiveness, their talent, their creativity. Most importantly, their skills, their digital skills, which we are having that in abundance. So that's how our region looks at IT sector, and we are happy that this sector is really coming up very well in this part of world. So during pandemic, focus of all companies almost shifted from scale to survival. IT companies which were doing disruptive technologies and all, they have seen positive growth. Now that countries are emerging from lockdown, we are restarting our economies and the vaccination drive is coming. We know that IT sector will be the first to recover. And that's a very positive sign, because by the second quarter of FY21, we will have a rebound of IT sector. And that shows the resilience of this particular sector. Our IT companies in India, they are coming in big way as far as disruptive technology is concerned, and they are leading role. They are having a leading role in the ongoing fourth industrial revolution. So with our expanding footprint, where we have created profitable niches in this particular sector, where we have seen 7 to 8% growth year on year, with 75% of digital talent in India, and our markets, the more than 85% markets located in EU, mostly in USA. Especially, we feel that our people have to explore this unexplored southeast region of the USA. Those which have established themselves, they have to strengthen themselves, and those who have not come here, they have to explore themselves. So the discussions and deliberations, I'm sure, during this virtual expo will lead to more leads, will generate more ideas so that more and more companies, they can look at this particular market, they can chart out their future course of action. So our felicitations to the team GlobalSoft, especially to Mr. Nalin Kohli and Mr. Gurmeet Singh. We interacted with them very closely when they were in Atlanta in October 2019. We had to fight for them to come there because Washington was going to send them somewhere else. And it was good to see them there. Their infectious enthusiasm, their dedication was really good when they were here. So good that you are thinking of Southeast region in a big way. We welcome you. If you want any assistance, we are there. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. You touched upon two of the fastest growing segments of the software and IT services, fintech and health IT. And being a medical doctor, I think you have an advantage of knowing health IT better than many of us. I just want to share with you, this is something which our Secretary for Ministry of Electronics and IT had mentioned to us during the inaugural address. When the COVID lockdown was going on, and we had this whole problem of not getting infected, how to protect from COVID. One app was developed called Arogya Setu, which is being used in India in a very big way. It has 120 million downloads. So the Secretary for Ministry of IT, he revealed to us that this was done by the ministry through a small startup. 15 young IT professionals working from their homes during the lockdown, who did it in a 3 weeks period. So that is the kind of talent pool that is there. It is no longer just outsourcing. It is something which our friends in the US can actually use this talent pool, and we can create solutions, software solutions, not just providing IT services. So I just wanted to leave this thought with you. And Arogya Setu is a very good example of what is possible by Indian software professionals. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us, taking out time. I would now like to request Mr. Amit Kumar. I can't see him on the screen. So Mr. Amit Kumar, are you still there? I think we'll, in the meantime, go on to the next speaker. You're there. So let me welcome Mr. Amit Kumar. He is our Consul General in Chicago. Chicago is one of the most important centers in the US, and we have done some IndiaSoft roadshows there. Even during the physical events, many delegates would come from Chicago, and we see huge opportunities which need to be exploited. So I would also like to share with you that it is not only the large companies, large IT companies who are providing service and support to the US corporates, but many of our members, and you will be happy to know that about 30 of our members where we facilitated have now got a local US presence. This was done mainly in Virginia and Maryland as a program. And now we have identified 20 more. We have 20 more companies waiting to set up a local US presence. Later in the program, we will have the advantage of listening to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who is the Principal Secretary for IT Telangana. And when Governor Phil Murphy, he visited India, he wanted to see an incubator. And I wear a hat in CII, was the co-chair for their National Startup Council. And we then identified T-Hub in Hyderabad. And the governor visited T-Hub and they signed actually a MOU. And we have Mr. Simon Ninis, who is also the CEO of New Jersey Innovation Center, where they wanted to work in a collaborative mode with the T-Hub in Hyderabad. So, sir, welcome to this session, and we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to your support in promoting IT cooperation between US and India. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kohli, very much. Good evening to all friends in India, and good morning to from Chicago. I'm delighted to be part of this session on India-US IT cooperation and potential opportunities. I'm of course very happy to learn that 30 of your member companies have now presence in the US. Now, we all know that before the pandemic hit, the digital footprint in the economy was already growing at a rather rapid pace. But what the pandemic has done is to actually fast track its adaptation in several areas. In fact, the digital video conferencing facilities today are far more robust than they were a year ago. And I think the very fact that India Soft and Global Soft are being organized in a virtual format attests to that new reality. We have also seen opportunities in telemedical consultations and expansion of e-commerce activity in India. I think when we look at IT, I think we need to look at IT, ICT and its manifestations in diverse forms, such as Internet of Things, data analytics, artificial learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain technologies, and so on. And we have already seen in India how digital technologies are used by the government to lower costs, to reduce time and improve its services. And I think it's not out of place to mention some of these initiatives, be it comprehensive direct benefit transfer, the government e-marketplace, or digitizing several government services, including for Ayushman Bharat. Now, I sit in the US Midwest region, and as Mr. Kohli mentioned, this important region. It is home to around about more than 100 Fortune 500 companies. The combined GDP of this region is 4.22 trillion. And it has been a traditional powerhouse for manufacturing, for pharmaceutical center and so on. So it is not a surprise that it is emerging as a hub for advanced and smart manufacturing in the US, as well as incorporating cutting edge adaptation of digital processes to manufacturing. It has married technology and innovation in several areas such as electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles and drones. It is also home to several exciting startups in pharmaceuticals, biohealth and healthcare sector. The Midwest, in particular Iowa, is also a center for insurance services in the US. And again, it has then several startups in that sector. Second point I would like to make is that the IT services trade and cooperation was always a major plank of India-US trade, and with advent of these new technologies like AI or IoT that I mentioned previously, the global IT demand is shifting from traditional requirement of software services and systems integration. And I think as Indian IT industry adapts to these changes, I think there will be potentially a lot more opportunities. Mr. Kohli had previously mentioned about the McKinsey report. I think the same report has talked about how this adaptation can generate over $300 billion in new economic activity by 2030, with annual investment of around $10 billion. And recent investments by US technology firms in India is I think, again, indicative of the potential that the Indian market holds and the value that technology companies, and also we need to look at the mid-size and small-size companies also. The US Midwest region is also at the forefront of automation of work and Industry 4.0. And I think when you, and again, I think it holds lessons and experience by way of experience sharing in the manufacturing space. You can improve your productivity through network and inventory optimization. It can bring greater efficiency through predictive maintenance, smart safety management, and product design. And there are reports which suggest that India could generate close to $300 billion in economic value through adaptation of digital technologies in the manufacturing sector. Of course, these roles will require new skills, and some workers would perhaps need to be retrained. A third, I think, element of cooperation would be in the insurance sector. Iowa is the center of insurance sector in the US. The insurance and banking sectors are witnessing new models in digital payment offerings for loan evaluations, for asset resolutions, and so on. So I think one big opportunity that I see based on the US experience, can we create a credit risk database that can improve quality of lending decisions and reducing borrowing costs over time. So again, the financial technology companies which work in banking and insurance sectors will find it, I think, will find great potential when they look at the US Midwest sector. And the last point that I wish to make is that it is obviously, I think, is increasingly evident that we are, due to rapid advent of new technologies, we are going to see disruptive developments. And in this space, the startups will play a critical role. We have a fairly promising startup system in India back home. But if you look at the US, the Chicago area is one of the top 3 startup centers in the US. And it is top ranked when it comes to B2B solutions in manufacturing, in healthcare, in logistics, supply and management, and insurance sector. Apart from Chicago, we have Michigan and Indiana, which have some really good incubation hubs and startup companies in particular, more on manufacturing and healthcare side. To conclude, I would just say that there are enormous opportunities for collaboration between India and US Midwest, particularly in how digital processes are impacting manufacturing, healthcare, pharma, insurance sector. All major IT companies are already present in the Midwest in a robust fashion. We will, of course, be happy to see presence of more mid-sized and small-sized IT companies from India here. The consulate will be very happy to work with all of you and facilitate engagement in these areas. And I'm confident that IndiaSoft will result in new opportunities. And I'll just say that once we are in a post-pandemic era, we'll be happy to welcome you all physically and look forward to again to strengthen this particular engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very, very inspiring remarks. And we would certainly increase our engagement in the region that you look after in the US through your consulate. And we see huge potential. But small and mid-sized companies always need some hand-holding. And therefore, I think we'll start that process. And we will certainly be in touch with you. And we would request your support in promoting business for the small and mid-sized IT companies between India and the US. Thank you very much.
No,
I would now request. Thank you, sir.
I was just saying, certainly we look forward to more interaction with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would now request Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. Mr. Ranjan, are you there? Gurmeet, is he logged in?
Thank you, Mr. Kohli.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And good evening to you. In Hyderabad, I was just mentioning when the Governor Phil Murphy from the state of New Jersey visited Hyderabad, the T-Hub incubator. You know, I was the co-chair for National Startup Council of CII, and we had to select one. He had time to visit only one incubator, and we finally decided that we should take him to rehab. And it was a very nice experience for him, and they signed a MOU. I'm so happy that both Mr. Jayesh Ranjan and Mr. Simon Ninis, who is the CEO of that incubator in New Jersey Institute of Technology, the state of Telangana and NJIT had signed that MOU, and both of them are here as speakers. Telangana is a big success story in one of the most important IT hubs. I would say after Bangalore, they're number 2 or number 3. That keeps on changing, but a very important IT hub. And we also have in this program the IT Serve organization, which has many members who come from Telangana and from Andhra Pradesh. And many of them are investing there. And IndiaSoft would be a great opportunity for them to pick up new partners in India. Sudha, thank you very much for being with us, and we look forward to your address.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kohli. Good morning to all the participants in the US. Good evening to fellow attendees from India, dignitaries, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank IndiaSoft for giving opportunities to states also. While we understand that India is a federal country, there are national policies, and states also enjoy lots of autonomy in creating their own priorities and developing their own policies. So I'm very happy that a progressive state, an IT-friendly state like Telangana, is getting this opportunity to speak about what the state can offer. So I also completely endorse what other speakers have mentioned, that post-COVID recovery, it could be economic recovery, it could be social recovery, it will be aided to a very large extent by the process of digitalization. In fact, I'm a part of a few other conversations also, in which we are looking at very rapid digitalization programs, let us say, in the areas of education, in the that is home-based education or healthcare, and even MSMEs, etc. And we are looking at multiple digital tools and solutions and technologies so that the post-pandemic recovery becomes faster. In fact, I remember in some other context, I'd even mentioned it, that COVID is looking like the Y2K scenario for IT companies. Just as 20 years ago, Indian IT companies in particular really capitalized on that Y2K opportunity. They provided solutions and products to ensure that none of the so-called Y2K problems really manifested, and every sector was well kind of protected and covered. But one difference between the Y2K decades and the time now is that IT has become much more democratized. During the Y2K times, it is only some of the very large IT companies, and of course we all know who they are, and they have done extremely well to position India as a strong IT powerhouse. So we all recognize their efforts and appreciate. But today there are far more number of IT companies, and particularly mid-scale and small companies, who also have some very innovative solutions, innovative products. So IT solutions are not just in the hands of, let us say, the big 4 or big 5. The situation is much more democratic now. So this is one opportunity, that if in the US, if you are, since our CGIs are there, if you are looking at opportunities to service different parts of the economy, different parts of the society with affordable solutions, quick solutions, and solutions can be deployed on scale very rapidly, then there are umpteen number of companies. In fact, for instance, because of enhancement of digital financial transactions, cyber security has also become a very important requirement. So if you are looking at some cool cyber security products or solutions, or ed tech or health tech, or any solution for that matter, there are large number of companies in India, and many more in Hyderabad per se. In Hyderabad, in Telangana, we have roughly 1,400 companies, of which 900 plus can be categorized as companies which are in that mid-scale to small to startups. And we network with them, we connect with them very often. And we do have a very good inventory of which are those companies which have a ready to deploy product or solution in international markets. So if just as during the Y2K time, help was sought from Indian companies at this post-COVID times also. If help is sought from Indian companies, we'll be very happy to facilitate all that using the India Soft platform. The second thing is that I'm very happy to see that IT service well represented in this webinar. I see Raghu Garu, I see Mohan Garu. All of them are very close associates of ours. They are well-wishers of Telangana. They are actually brand ambassadors of the two Telugu states. So I also know that most of them, also have offices in Hyderabad and India and a few other locations in India. While they have their bigger office, their main offices in the US, but they also have their footprints in India, including many of them in Hyderabad. So what I have realized is that while the pandemic has been a bit of a dampener to everyone, a part of the economic recovery is also how do you conserve capital, how do you reduce your costs. That has also become a very important imperative. And I was talking to a small subgroup of IT sir a few weeks ago, where I was suggesting to them that if you are really looking at maintaining your level of returns and maintaining your market positioning, while you want to reduce some cost, maybe you can offshore more and more of your work to India and to a state like Telangana. And I offer to them that earlier, when one would speak about India, one would only think about big cities like Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai or Gurgaon, etc., etc. But in Telangana, for instance, today, we have been very successful in promoting smaller towns for taking up IT sector jobs. So, for example, for those who know of Telangana, we have now started positioning 3 other smaller cities, Warangal, Karimnagar, and Khammam, where also it is possible to set up very profitable IT offices. In these places, the government itself has built space, ready to move in space, plug and play space, which because of the current scenario pandemic, we are offering to companies free of cost. No rentals are being charged. The space is free. So as compared to Hyderabad, where you may be paying, let us say, 40 rupees or 50 rupees per square feet, or as compared to Bangalore, where you will be paying perhaps 70, 80 rupees per square feet, I'm offering space free to you. Internet is available free, high-speed internet. And most importantly, the biggest worry of any American company in going to a smaller town is about the availability of talent. So as a government, we are guaranteeing that you will have no dilution of talent. There are good engineering colleges in and around these cities as well. And we have a government institution called TASK, the Telangana Academy for Skills and Knowledge. And we assure that whatever skill sets you would have used in your American office or any other office in a larger city, the same skill sets will be taught at government's cost to the students who will perform the same kind of jobs and services for you, which you would have expected from a employee, a regular staffer in a different location. So without diluting on quality, you can get your work done at, let us say, 1/3 the cost or half the cost very, very easily. And in these times, when it is important to save on capital, save on cash burn, and bounce back very quickly to your usual kinds of returns, etc., this is a very workable strategy. And I'm also happy to share that there has been good initial response to this. All the 3 IT towers that we have built in Karimnagar, Khammam, and in Warangal have been populated by people who actually are of Indian origin. They run companies in the US, and they have decided to set up some number of seats at these locations also. So we are prepared to do more of it. While I just mentioned 3 cities as an example, we are prepared to set up these kind of IT facilities anywhere in the state. And I'm sure over a period of time, other states will also recognize the value of doing such a thing. And then they will also attract Indian origin companies in similar ways. So these are the 2 offers that I wanted to share before the audience. One is that if there are requirements of solutions and products to fast track, to accelerate the digitalization process in the Americas, we have enough number of mid-scale and small companies and also startups who have these kind of solutions available. And the second is in a bi-directional way. If there are American companies promoted by Indian origin founders or it could be anyone else also who are looking at a low cost option, but without diluting any quality to get their work done. Then offshoring opportunities in India in smaller towns is now taking a very good shape. And there are good examples of this kind in Telangana. So I do hope that we'll continue to engage on these two opportunities, these two possibilities using IndiaSoft platform. And feel free to reach out to me whenever you want to. I'll after I complete speaking, I'll also put my mail ID and my contact details in the chat window. So please feel free to get in touch. And thank you once again, Mr. Kohli, for giving me this chance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us the success story of Telangana. And I totally agree with you. It is not just small and mid-sized companies. It is also the tier 2, tier 3 locations within the country. And we have seen already two new clusters, Indore and Bhubaneswar, which have come up very well, who were not there on the IT map earlier. I have now great pleasure in inviting Mr. Saurabh Gaur. Mr. Saurabh Gaur is the Joint Secretary in our Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So I gave the example what Secretary Mighty had shared with us when he was inaugurating the IndiaSoft, how Arogya Setu was developed. But Mighty has been instrumental in getting many other innovative products and solutions, both in hardware and software. And we are really privileged to have Mr. Saurabh Gaur with us. He deals with it firsthand and promoting these solutions in Government of India. And he's from the Indian Administrative Service, but he's also an electronics engineer, studied at IIT Roorkee. And I have great pleasure in inviting you to share your views with us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kohli. And this is the first time for me participating in the IndiaSoft event, and I'm extremely privileged to do that. I represent the Ministry of Electronics and IT, as Mr. Kohli already spoke about. And I'm sure the audience here is aware about very strong foundations of Digital India, or the artifacts of Digital India, which have already emerged in terms of almost 1.25 billion people having digital identity in form of Aadhaar, almost a billion plus bank accounts, which effectively means a very strong financial inclusion setup that has been put, and the United Payments Interface and the NPCI as two very important demonstrators of that. And then also the fact that we have today more rural internet users than urban users, almost 700 million plus internet users in the country. And the acceleration it has provided to digital ecosystem is immense. But while COVID has brought lots of new realities into picture, Ministry has been thinking about what shape a Digital India 2.0 should take in order to probably serve this ecosystem better. And in another meeting, I was saying that Ministry has done well not to interfere with the ITITS in order to allow it to grow, but probably without interference and with very strong support, how do we look at further prospering this digital ecosystem? And when we talk about Digital India 2.0, there are 5 strategies or pillars that come to my mind. The first one is on the digital economy front, which was already spoken about by a few of the speakers here. We are aspiring for a $5 trillion economy by 2025, COVID shock notwithstanding. And if today the digital economy is of the order of, say, 10% of total economy, we are very sure that we can make it grow up to 20% of the total economy 2025. So looking at $1 trillion digital economy, and how do we reach there? So very strong programmatic support for that, whether in terms of in the electronic hardware or electronic manufacturing through the production incentive schemes or the schemes for promotion of the component ecosystem. And today there is so much blurring of boundaries between software and hardware. Today we have IoT devices or the emerging tech artifacts. So where I believe we will be equally able to support, whether it is in robotics or in drones or in the wireless solutions or telecom equipment or IT hardware, all of these, there's almost a $20 billion of schematic support which is available for digital economy to prosper through different protection and incentive schemes. There's also the national policy on software products, where again some very strong interventions are coming up. We are looking at a software product development fund where we are seeking opportunities for collaboration, and where we are looking at engaging with the startup ecosystem. We have 32 unicorns and God knows how many soonicorns or soon to be unicorns, and places like T-Hub or almost 30 odd incubators and accelerators play a important role in that. So we are now coming out with the we already have the software product development, national software product policy, but we are coming out with programs and schemes to be laid out or to be rolled out under the NPSP. The second important pillar is the digital infrastructure. So with the rolling out of, I think, the adoption of 5G technologies, which is round the corner, and a lot of computing developing on the edge, also on the core, I believe that will throw open a lot of opportunities for companies. The other part is that on the cloud and future-ready infrastructure that is essential to provide both the compute as well as the storage for companies to be able to effectively deliver their solutions. So there's a lot of stuff happening there also. And finally, a very strong hyperscale data center policy and a programmatic support in terms of scheme is going to come out in next 2 to 3 months, where again, I believe almost $500,000 of incentives in terms of whether it is procurement of servers, then essentially making the hyperscale data centers, providing connectivities around that is going to be made available. The third one is on digital services. And in digital services, we are looking at moving beyond, say, solutions, products and solutions to systems and now to ecosystems. So there's this India enterprise architecture, which is evolving and taking the shape of huge public digital platforms. We have seen it in the financial inclusion where UPI today connects all our banks. It has the repository of all the people who have the bank accounts. It has the service delivery organizations, and it provides a data exchange layer for solutions to be built on top of that. And today a Google Pay or a Phone Pay or lots of these services are so successful because of the digital infrastructure that has been built. We are now, the digital services are sitting on top of this digital infrastructure. We are looking at similar thing happening in the National Digital Health Mission, where there are data repositories or the digital repositories that are coming together of hospitals, of service providers, of telemedicine, and so on and so forth. And then the data and metadata being standardized, and there being a very secure consent-based framework for sharing that data through the data exchange layers that are getting developed. So this is another ecosystem in the public digital platform and health which is taking shape. There's something taking shape in National Urban Digital Mission or National Digital Urban Mission also, where again, whether it is the data layer or the data exchange through the Indian Urban Data Exchange. So there are lots of things, essentially what I'm saying, and we are looking at 21 sectors in which public digital platforms will take shape in the next 2 years. When we move beyond individual solutions and look at the overall ecosystem getting strengthened. The fourth one is digital trust, which I believe links to both the digital infrastructure and the digital services. So having trust built in our service delivery in terms of the cybersecurity framework, our personal and non-personal data regimes, data sharing regimes that are going to come out, one through a legislative route, the other one more in terms of a regulation or an executive order, and also the trusted value chain in terms of what is getting deployed in our networks, whether it is what is coming to our 5G network, what kind of CCTV cameras are being put, what are the drones that are coming to the country, and what is the element of trust. And I believe there is a lot with a geography like the US, which we're talking about today. I believe that is a natural ally to become a trusted partner. And I see a lot of play happening in that pillar also. And finally, the fifth one is the emerging technologies, where India has come out with national strategy papers. There was a paper on AI, then there is going to be a paper on blockchain, on IoT, on AR, VR. All of these are going to come out rather soon. We had a very successful RAISE summit, Responsible AI for Social Empowerment Summit, where we had participation by some of the best minds in artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. There is a national mission on integrated cyber physical systems that has been rolled out again with almost $500 million, which is working on the foundational technologies, the research, both fundamental research and applied research on the foundation technologies, and having a very strong data and model sharing AI platform also, which will again come out in form of a national program on AI. So all in all, I think I've spoken about a lot of things. All of these things provide great opportunities for collaboration between Indian and American companies. We are having a very strong focus of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-resilient, India, which is self-reliant, which is also but contributing equally effectively to the global digital economy. And I believe these are the platforms in which we will find more acceleration to our thoughts and ideas, as also our programs and schemes, as we invite companies. And we did hear a lot about the mid-sized companies also participating in that. And we are making it easier through very strong ease of doing business measures, so that our data and AI, for example, our data and model share platform, what kind of access do we provide to MSMEs or to mid-sized companies apart from the big companies? And I believe we will have lot of unicorns. But there was another report which said we have 100+ unicorns actually. 32 are the ones which are getting counted. So I believe we will be having, through these 5 pillars of digital economy, digital infrastructure, digital services, digital trust, and emerging technologies, we will be having greater prosperity to the digital ecosystem. I thank the IndiaSoft team for giving me this opportunity to be able to present all of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. God, for sharing your views. And as you would have seen from Mr. God's inputs that he has provided us, that India is going to be the place for investments. So US large companies have already, large IT companies have invested heavily in India. And they also had an alternate large investment in one of our neighboring countries. But as they see the trust factor, which Mr. Gaur mentioned about, there is huge trust between US and India in terms of using India as a technology and a manufacturing base. These new policies, the new incentives, just make it an irresistible proposition. And I would request all the members who are attending from the US to convey this message that look at India very seriously, not because of the huge talent pool, but also because of the various incentives which have been given for the digital industry, both hardware and software, and which makes it a very attractive destination for doing joint ventures. We have good partners in the show, at the IndiaSoft show, and we have a huge market, a very large market, which countries like Vietnam cannot offer, but India can certainly offer to you. So it's a great win-win for you and for your Indian partner. Thank you very much for sharing your views. And I would now move on to Mr. Simon Ninis, who's the Chief Executive of the New Jersey Innovation Center. Are you there, Simon?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
So
Well, thank you, Mr. Kohli.
Welcome to this session. So Simon, I mentioned a little earlier that you came with the governor, with Governor Phil Murphy, and you visited Hyderabad and you signed a MOU with the T-Hub, the incubator there. And so there was a strong bridge, and this was of course much before COVID. And so now is the time when India and US have to cooperate more. And the world needs more IT solutions, particularly in health IT, and of course in many other areas because of rapid digitalization. Every country wants to rapidly digitalize, and we would like to hear from you how you see this cooperation growing between India and US, particularly in the small and medium enterprises, because the large ones have already seen the value and they are making full use of it. But today we are talking about this platform, IndiaSoft, where 150 small and mid-sized companies are there. They want to partner with small and mid-sized companies in the US not only for the US market and the world market, but also for the large Indian market. As Mr. Gaur mentioned, that we are very optimistic about having $1 trillion digital economy in India by 2025. So I would love to hear from you how this cooperation can move forward and what more can be done to accelerate the process. Over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Excited to be part of this great event. And for time's sake, I'll just skip with the formalities and get right to it. I was indeed part of the visit to India with the governor. We visited many different cities. Was very impressed with the fact not only of the competency, but also the way we were treated and hosted. It was fantastic. I live in the state of New Jersey, which is by many of my Indian friends called Little India, for good reason. The many Indian companies here, very happily established here in New Jersey. So I'm part of NJIT. We signed an MOU with T-Hub, but also with NASCOM. So what we can do for the companies in India is that when they come here, we can help them with a rent assistance, so it becomes free or almost free in the first couple of months. But we can also connect you with the advisors here in the United States in terms of establishing your company, setting up the right commission structure with salespeople, et cetera, et cetera. Because besides, and you mentioned this, the large companies, there are three things important when working with an IT provider: competency, and then of course the accuracy and the timely delivery. But there's also something that's called the human touch, and that human touch, the larger companies have just an easier way to transform that. For the smaller companies, often they don't have experience working with American customers, or they don't have experience in the American companies don't have experience in outsourcing products. So we can cross that bridge together. I'm an organizational and a leadership expert, and I manage and also consult with many companies besides New Jersey Institute of Technology. And that's the crux for a lot of companies. So to add the human touch, I'm very interested to see if I can help companies here. We'll make sure that if you're interested, visit venturelink.org. That is our large incubator and accelerator. And you can also contact me. I'm sure they'll have my email information in this chat. And I look forward to working with many of you. And again, appreciate that I could take a couple of minutes to speak at this great event. Thank you again. Back to you.
Thank you, Simon. I have some good news for you. We have about 20 companies ready to come to the US, small and mid-sized companies. So we will be in touch with you and take this forward. I have great pleasure now in inviting Mr. Alexander Slater. Mr. Slater represents the US-India Business Council. He's the Deputy Managing Director for India. He carries professional skills and experience in the fields of law, finance, global development, international affairs, strategy, and communications. He has been in the World Bank. He was speechwriter to the president of World Bank and has been a senior financial officer in the World Bank Treasury. Practiced law at Mulvaney and Myers, a famous law firm. Holds a BA in history from Yale University, a JD from Harvard Law School, and a master's in international relations from Oxford. So, Mr. Slater, we are so happy that you are with us. And so I would now request you to give your views. How do we promote this cooperation between Indian SMEs and US SMEs in the area of information technology? So over to you.
Thanks so much for that kind introduction. Thanks so much for also inviting the US-India Business Council to join today's meeting. IndiaSoft is playing a critical role in helping to grow one of India's most globally competitive industries, technology services, and ensuring that MSMEs, the backbone of the US and Indian economies, are part of the growing digital value chain that exists between our two countries. Mr. Kohli, we are very grateful for the good work that you and your colleagues are doing to grow bilateral digital trade and investment. Representatives from the Government of India, Mr. Chadha, Consuls General Kulkarni and Kumar, Mr. Gar, and of course, Mr. Ranjan, our good friend in Telangana. I bring greetings to you and to our friends in the private and association sectors on behalf of USIBC President Nisha Biswal and Managing Director Ambika Sharma. Ambika has fallen ill today and asked me to join in her place, so I'm grateful to be here with all of you. As was said earlier, I'm USIBC's Deputy Managing Director, working out of our Delhi office. I work with Ambika Talita, I work in India, along with my colleague Aditya Vasishta, who is here today. I work closely with many of our digital economy members to achieve their goals. I've joined today's meeting to share one single message. The US-India corridor is at a critical point in its digital development. The government of India has set an ambitious goal of achieving a GDP of $5 trillion in 2025, with the digital economy comprising 20% of that. Based on the size of today's economy, roughly, we have to move the needle by more than 500%. That means we have no time to lose. To get there, US-India cooperation on digital trade investment is essential. To make this happen, we need both strategic foundations and a supportive regulatory framework. To date, we have high confidence in one of these planks and have work to do to strengthen the other. One of the key strategic pillars in our relationship is our market sizes. The US is the world's largest economy and a major purchaser of IT services from India. India will soon be the most populous country in the world, and its demand for digital services is fast growing, and its appetite for capital virtually infinite, given its highly entrepreneurial startup culture. The pandemic and other events have also shown the need for diversifying supply chains, including in the digital space. We need to find ways to work together to leverage our core competencies, take advantage of these attributes, and reduce risk. There's also recognition at the highest political levels that the US and India can be assets to one another to achieve our shared strategic, economic, and development goals, with the digital economy fitting directly into these objectives. Last week, for example, leaders of the Quad countries, Australia, India, Japan, and the US, met for the first time to discuss issues of mutual importance and set up fora where the fruits of cooperation could be explored. This includes a working group on new and emerging technologies, which would promote cooperation in areas like technology standards, manufacturing, and supply chains. We'll see 5G, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing as key parts of this quadrilateral dialogue. This means we have a key forum to encourage cooperation at the political level on these issues. But strategic partnerships and market sizes need supportive regulatory frameworks to capitalize on this potential. And right now, we're managing a lot of friction points, be it in areas like privacy, data governance, digital taxes, and e-commerce. We don't need to go into more details. We all know them. But it's critical that we address these areas in a collaborative way based on a recognition that cooperation, not divergence, will get us to our shared goals. And it's critical that state-level officials are part of this conversation, given the key role they play in encouraging digital development on the ground. That's why USIBC has called for a US-India global digital partnership, a high-level dialogue between the Biden administration and the Modi government. It's also why we set up our Destination India series last year, where we hosted conversations with chief ministers and senior bureaucrats from 10 Indian states to explore issues related to ease of doing business and attracting investment in the digital space. We need the strategic and commercial pulling in the same direction. That requires significant consultation to promote progress in areas of policy friction. Overcoming these obstacles is also why USIBC is leaning into cutting-edge industry government conversations and consultations on digital topics. We have a US-India 5G dialogue, new initiatives in areas like artificial intelligence, esports, commercial space, cloud computing, satellite communications, and quantum technology. All of these areas, and importantly, the apps and applications that run on them or that run them, will drive the next cycle of US-India digital innovation. As colleagues have said, they will also buttress other areas of the bilateral commercial relationship, from life sciences to financial services to manufacturing, as well as the core of the US-India digital partnership, corporate IT and digital business processes. As we look to build back better after the pandemic and to leverage our core assets, now is the time for more, not less, cooperation on digital issues. Now is the time to build complementary and integrated regulatory frameworks based on shared standards and cross-border information flows. These developments will maximize the benefits of rapidly increasing IT spending that has followed the onset of the pandemic and accelerated the pace of digital transformation that is now underway. USIBC looks forward to working with our government partners, other associations, and industry to make this happen. I know that IndiaSoft is a major backer of this kind of cooperation, and thank it and Mr. Kohli again for creating this platform for us to advance this process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for reaffirming what we have been saying, that we need to cooperate I also want to, since you have a background in World Bank, what we hear is that India is going to be the fastest growing economy post-COVID, fastest growing large economy, the only one to have a double-digit growth. So I think this is a great opportunity for US companies to come in India, co-develop not only for the world, but for the Indian market itself, which is growing very rapidly. And we look forward to working with you closely. Thank you for being with us. I would now move to Dr. Purnima Warrior. She's the founder and CEO of the National US-India Chamber of Commerce, whose mission is to build bilateral trade through business relationships. An international business advocate, Dr. Warrior is international business owner, educator, motivational speaker, and a US-India expert. She's also a business consultant to small and large US corporations. She helps businesses market and source their products and services in India, qualifies local partners, and I think we have a very qualified person to talk about this relationship. So over to Dr. Warrior. Please share your views with us as to how we work together to build this
Thank you.
relationship.
Thank you so much, and namaste to everyone in India, and good morning to everyone in the United States and the rest of the world. First of all, let me thank IndiaSoft and a great colleague of mine, Nalinji, for this great August gathering that you have put together and putting me with these astute speakers. I'm very honored. So thank you so much, Nalinji. And to Jayeshji, who was a speaker as well, I was in Hyderabad at the GES 2017. So the IT minister, KTR, Jayeshji, we have a long association. We also met this astute Jayeshji in World Economic Forum in Davos, where Telangana had the coal display. And so IT was very well at the world stage, thanks to Jayeshji and KTR for making Telangana an important part of World Economic Forum in Davos. I was a speaker myself there, so it was a pleasure. The third thing I want to say is that, you know, why did we start this chamber? It happened in 2005, a decade ago, when exactly what Jayeshji said, Y2K happened. Every newspaper in the mountain region, and I'm in Denver, Colorado, which is peaceful Kashmir of the United States. Beautiful place, lots of snow and lots of vadiyan. So that is what happened is every newspaper has India bad, outsourcing, taking our jobs away, and so forth. I saw a fear in the business community and took it upon myself to create that fear into opportunity. And that's why we started the chamber at the request of the Vice President of India, Swargiya Shri Bharat Singh Ji Shekhawat. So thank you for that great introduction, Nalinji. And we also just recently started the India Trade Facilitation Center just to do exactly this. There are opportunities in the mountain region which has not been explored. They are untapped. And although we have 100 companies of India in the United States with 91,000 jobs created, significant in IT industry. But if you look at this CII report, I'll tell you, mountain region is not even mentioned in that. So Nalinji, that is a great opportunity for us to work together in the mountain region with a lot of technology associations we have here. So again, people go to Chicago and New York and Texas and so forth. I invite all of you from India to come to the mountain region and explore Colorado and the neighboring states. And we will be happy to work with you, Nalinji, on the soft power platform that you have created. E-commerce could be a very good platform to make the connectivity happen, and we are working on that as well. So when we talk about all these opportunities, I would say that the Indian economy is on the rising stage. Of course, our Honorable Prime Minister has fixed the target of $5 trillion economy by 2025. As most of the speakers have said, I would say that $83 million opportunity is in just AI alone by 2023. And this is not me saying that. This is our Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, have said that. So this can only be possible with a big push for manufacturing sector of India. The smart manufacturing is very important. And Industry 4.0 are the instant need of Indian industries. The American companies have all this software and hardware technologies. Most of the American companies are ready to invest in India for dissemination of their technologies in India as well. So it can be a two-way trade. So now there is a win-win situation for India and US both. What is needed for the government of India is to make a policy for setting up centers of excellence in each district at a cluster level. These companies are ready to contribute to more than 75% of the total cost of hardware and softwares. These US companies want to get trained on manpower to work on their hardwares and softwares, while other Indian MSMEs want technologies. These coordinated efforts can be possible only through chambers and government machinery. I would like to request the honorable ministers to look into this policy. As the big companies of US and other countries have opened their offices in India, looking for ambitious target of Indian PM, these companies are yet to meet with the government officers and are waiting for the policies. Before I go any further, I do want to say one thing that Nalinji, you talked about, and many of the ministers and the high officials in our gathering and our consulate offices talked about MSMEs. Let me tell you, I was, if I may just share that, have been an advisor to United States MSME, 7.8 million to be exact, which is $1 trillion economy of US. That is also an untapped resource. We have in our minority segment, 20 top Indians in the US that are in that minority category. Minority businesses here can also be a $200,000 business. So they are per se not very small. But what I want to say is my dream for India and US is that since I advised on the growth and policy making of $1 trillion economy of the United States, I would like to connect 1 million MSMEs of the United States with 1 million MSMEs of India. So that is an opportunity I want to present to you, all of you, through India Soft, and would like to say that this is not an unachievable dream. Believe me, if you can dream it, you can do it, as Walt Disney said, and I live by that. So I would say that the most strategic relationship between any two countries, whether it's India and US, is this, the soft power that we are talking about. India is at an inflection point, and exponential growth and implementation is the biggest challenge. To achieve it, partnerships with US, including the Silicon Valley, is very important. For two nations of such size, bilateral trade and investment is small, particularly compared to US trade and investment with China and the economic partners with much smaller population and GDP. India's scale, young population, technical capability, entrepreneurial energy, and large immigrant. If you talk about the population in the region link, it's powerfully into the Bay Area and Silicon Valley many years. I mean, if you talk about Sundar Pichai in Google, whether it's Satya Nadella in Microsoft, yesterday Arvind Krishna, IBM CEO, just announced a very important relationship with Anthem. And so Arvind and IBM will be working with Anthem very closely. So every day we are hearing about these particular growing fields and of opportunities in IT. And as the IT industry changes, the advent of artificial intelligence and cloud computing, that relationship will shift. New areas of partnerships are also emerging. And India is rapidly digitalized opportunities, and it'll particularly grow in fields such as health, fintech, infrastructure, smart cities, semiconductors, cell phone manufacturing, and renewable energy, all fields where Bay Area excels in India's need. I'm not here to promote only Bay Area. I'm in the mountain region, so I'll remind you all that the opportunities are here. The capabilities will grow. These linkages present opportunities for Indian partners all over US, and they are unique and large scale, but they also require focus and patience to realize. So I would say that looking at new India, new economy poised for takeoff, The demographics are very favorable. The entrepreneurial optimism and energy are infectious. What is the road ahead? I would like to say India is the topmost offshoring destination for IT companies across the world, mainly because of English as a happy medium to be doing business with. Having proven its capability in both delivering offshore and onshore services to global clients, emerging technologies now offer an entire new gamut of opportunities for top IT firms in India. The industry is expected to grow US $350 billion by 2025, and BPM is expected to account for US 50 to 55 billion of the total revenue. So I would say market access and barrier to trade with India have been a long-standing concern with American companies and members of Congress, exporters, successive US administrations, efforts under Trump administration reach a limited bilateral trade deal to address frictions that do not conclude. So we have to take care of that. President-elect Joe Biden at the time had expressed interest in cooperating with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And there are, as Nalin said, there are major companies here already having presence, but even them, they can do a lot more. But my interest as our chamber focuses on small and medium-sized businesses through our India Trade Facilitation Center and India Soft partnership, we can definitely work with the MSMEs of the United States in a very big way. Like I said, $5 trillion can be achieved just between you, Nalin, and myself, putting the 1 million MSMEs together with India. With that, I'll conclude. There are so many things that I want to talk about on IT and IT sector, but in essence of listening to other speakers, I think I'll stop right here. I have. It is a great opportunity, and it was great to hear IT leaders from India, as well as the two consul generals. And I would, on behalf of my consul general in Houston, Asim Mahajanji, Nalinji, let's do another one of this with him as well, with the mountain region. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your views. And we are on the same page, and it is a very happy thing that we share the goals and the objectives. I totally agree with you. And I would just like to add one comment. Indian IT industry is very US centric, but at the same time dominated by large players. The advantage of MSMEs is MSMEs both in the US and in India or any part of the world are niche players. So either they would have a niche technology, or they would go to a geography where large companies are not willing to go because it doesn't make a business case for them. So I can assure you that we have thousands of small and mid-sized software companies who would be very happy to come to the mountain region, work with you, because their economics work differently, as you know. And we would also like to cooperate with the minority-owned businesses to look at the large government procurement opportunity, which is where the minority-owned businesses have a preference. And I think it can be a very good win-win situation for both. Good strategic fit. Large companies are not interested in working with minority-owned businesses, but our small and mid-sized companies would be happy to do that. And they would be happy to address geographies which large companies are not willing to go. So it is a pleasure to work with you. And please do encourage your members to visit the India Soft exhibition. Now that
And
brings me
just to share with you, our governor did go to India a year ago, and he did visit to India, to Bangalore, to Delhi. He did visit the TCS. TCS have presence here in Colorado, but very small. So large companies do have opportunities, but I think our chamber focuses on MSMEs, and that's where we'll remain, because they really need hand-holding. They don't have the money to spend 5 times and come to US or go to India. So they have the business need that we all need to fulfill. So we'll stick to that. Thank you.
Correct, absolutely. Another responsibility for SMEs in both countries is that we need to tell our policymakers what are the issues which are coming in the way. Because at the official level, there is an official government-to-government CEO forum between US and India. On the Indian side, it is serviced by our Ministry of Industry and Commerce. In the US side, it is by the Department of Commerce. And there are 16 nominees who are not Fortune 100. Probably they are Fortune 50 companies on both sides. So obviously, they give their inputs, and it is upon us how do we give our inputs to the respective governments so that we have policies which encourage the business between SMEs in both the countries. So I'm very happy to connect with you, and we will take it forward.
I'll take just 1 second to say that yes, these councils are there, but I think you and I and people like that can really work on policy changes within ourselves too, so that we become eyes and ears of the government and not just rely on the high level councils to do so. So that would be my suggestion as well. And fifth industrial revolution, we are all into it, where human element is going to take very important place. So policy making is that. I just did that with Nitin Gadkari, gave him 10 policy changes, and he implemented those. So I'm very happy about that. But I went just directly to him. So Nalinji, some things we can also work on as individuals, heads of leaders of these organizations. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy now to welcome Mr. Ravi Chandra. He is the CEO and managing partner of Techstar, an IT consulting enterprise based in the US. He is also the national president of IT Serve Alliance, one of the largest association of IT services organizations. The alliance is the voice of all prestigious IT companies functioning with similar interests across the United States. Mr. Tamala is a seasoned IT executive with over 2 decades of technical and leadership experience, a successful entrepreneur, and he represents this great organization, IT Serve. We have seen IT Serve members, they have been very active in the earlier India Soft shows, and I thought we must invite him because at the digital show, we would like his organization's members to play a big role, meet the companies who are there, and take this whole concept of cooperation in IT to the next level. So over to you, Mr. Chitma. Please share your views with us.
Thank you, Nalinji. Thanks for the nice introduction. And I would like to thank Jayesh Ranjan ji. Sir, thank you so much. You are the one who connected me to Nalinji, and very happy to be here in the India Soft Expo. And hello to all the dignitaries, and good evening to people who joined from India, and good morning for the folks. I see a lot of my friends here on the call. And I'm Ravi Chandra, so I'm leading the IT Serve Alliance organization this year. And I'll give you a little background on the IT Serve Alliance. I hope most of you know this. We started this small medium entrepreneurs who are primarily from India origin, who are here in the US. And we all started this organization in 2010. I was associated with IT Serve from 2010 onwards, basically to address the immigration challenges that we were going through that time. New field memo, there was a lot of memos that were issued, which were causing really concern to small, medium businesses. And we all started this consortium. Now, 11 years fast forward, we have 1,200 plus members as part of the organization. And these are all IT services, staffing, projects, service, niche areas, you name it in IT, our members have it. And this is one of the only organization that caters to small, medium businesses interests, whether it is from immigration perspective or collaborating between the businesses. And the virtue of everybody is, all the members are, again, I mentioned, from Indian origin. And we started collaborating with government of Telangana, thanks to Jayesh Ranjan sir and the KTR sir. We started, Jayesh Ranjan ji mentioned just now, Warangal, Khammam, and Karimnagar. They started these tier 2 cities and centers, where I'm from Warangal. I went to school in Warangal and studied in Khammam. So there is a tremendous interest for the members to go back and then start their operations in the tier 2 cities. And most of the members, they do offices in Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bangalore. And we have offices in Noida, Delhi, and some of my members, they have offices in Amritsar too. So this organization, it evolved based on our common interests and common single point of interest is the collaborate strongly and grow together. And collectively, we are above $4 billion in revenue. Now we are collectively a voice in US, and we always try to differentiate ourselves with the big system integrators, TCS, Infosys, and all. Our goal here is to empower the local employment. We create a lot of employment here, about 400,000 employees collectively we have. And in turn, everybody has their offshore centers. The support arm, we create at least 125,000 jobs back home in different cities in India. And the majority of our members, as I'm hearing here, the minority MSME, I mean, most of the members are in US, they are all minority enterprises, small, medium, and some of the members who do business within India, and they're all part of the MSME. I mean, I have offices in Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore. So there are a lot of opportunity for all our members. So we are volunteering here last 10, 11 years. There are a lot of leaders who built this platform. Now we are a voice in US, and we address our challenges collectively. And then on the immigration front, collectively, we challenged the unfair practices memos that were being issued, that were creating issue for our business. And so we successfully won a litigation against USCIS, and that we challenged it. We took a bold step last leadership in 2018, and we saw the result in 2020, saying that, hey, those are the basic reason why the ITs are formed, because of new field memo that was created in 2020. In 2010, in 2020, when we won, they rescinded this memo. So that's how we collaborate and we collectively safeguard our interests while we are looking at to collaborate with other organizations and Chamber of Commerce. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. I'm pretty actively involved with the US Chamber of Commerce here. And we have ITSERV, we have 16 chapters in different cities. I heard from dignitaries, Atlanta, Chicago, and that is where we already have these chapters Northeast. So we are here, and Nalinji, thank you so much, IndiaSoft. So most of the members, they're aware of it, and we heard about it, but this is my first time to be here. Very happy, very honored to speak in front of all these dignitaries, and also we are here to collaborate with IndiaSoft, and I'm strongly encourage my members to take advantage of this this platform, and all these niche technologies, expertise like cloud, if you name it, mobility, security, blockchain, AI, ML. We are small medium businesses. We strive to grow bigger, and these are all the expertise that we built as part of the IT service. If you name any service area, any emerging technology, and I'm pretty sure some of my members, they carry those expertise, and we are collectively looking for opportunities to grow here in India, here in US, and also in India. So a lot of members, they already started collaborating, and I'm very, very happy to be here, Nalinji, and happy to hear from all the dignitaries, and I'm very happy, honored, wanted to encourage all our members, 1,200 plus members, to strongly collaborate with IndiaSoft and take advantage and collaborate strongly and then grow from there. Thank you, Nalinji. That's all I have. Thank you for the opportunity, and looking forward to, I'll stay connected with all of you, and looking forward to some fashion, collaborate and then grow together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure having you with us. Both India and
you,
US are very large countries. Many times we don't know what is happening with a company in Chennai or Hyderabad comes out with a very innovative solution, and same is true for US. But one institutional difference which I would like to share with both Purnima ji and you, Raghu ji, is that India has a federal ministry for small business. We have a ministry of MSME. We have a minister, cabinet minister for MSME. Now in the US, there is no equivalent. You have a small business administration, but that's not really a department which promotes MSMEs. It's more related to government procurement. And so, in fact, I had been pushing this idea. I've been working in the US for many years and with it often. And we are telling the government on the other side in our consultations between the government of India and the government of US that like you have a CEO forum between large companies, why not have a SME forum between the two countries? And unfortunately, they all agree in principle, but there is no federal agency on the US side. So they said SBA doesn't have an international dimension. So what I found was it is your congressman, it is your county executive, it is your senator who takes the voice of MSME in the US. Unlike in India, where we can go to the MSME ministry and they actually are very proactive. We were to have the joint secretary of MSME ministry with us today. Unfortunately, there was a meeting called by the secretary and she had to be there. But I would request all my friends in the US that use your linkages with the senator, congressman, county executive, whatever. You guys know better. But I think what good things are being done by the MSMEs, and particularly of Indian origin, need to be talked about, need to be brought to the notice of the policymakers on both sides. I remember when we took the first few companies, as I mentioned to you, we facilitated, and the first one was in Maryland, and the county executive was there. I was wondering, these small companies and this guy is giving us so much importance.
Looks like he's helping out there. Alanji, may I answer your question on...
My apologies, there was some technical glitch, so happy to be back.
I think the time expired.
Okay.
May I say something, Alanji?
Yeah, please go ahead.
What I want to tell you is I will be happy to take that upon myself to talk to the best platform that can make this happen, which is the US-India caucus. So Ro Khanna, Amy Bera, I'd be happy to contact them and let them drive this, because we are the US-India caucus of senators as well as congressmen. And if we just go to them collectively, I think they will be able to drive that to the White House, to President Biden.
I totally agree with you. Those linkages which will work. And let us talk about what economic value we create and how the small. It's equally true for the US small business. You see, if they want to do business in India's large growing digital economy, there's no voice they have in terms of
and the minority businesses that I represented, they're only Indian, Japanese, Chinese. So overall, you're absolutely right. Overall, the MSMEs of the entire United States need to have a separate federal agency.
Right. Thank you.
To collaborate with you.
We have come towards, actually, we are much beyond our, time that we had planned. So we are coming towards the end of the program. I would now request Mr. Pundi Narasimhan. I had the pleasure of meeting him when I visited Atlanta. He's an entrepreneur who has got businesses both in the US and in India. And let's hear his experience. Mr. Narasimhan, over to you.
Good evening, good morning, and I pay my respects to everybody who's listening to me today.
So I want to come to a practical solution, how we can really connect the SME markets in America and the MSME markets in India. That's my main focus for the next couple of minutes. So obviously we have to come up with a practical solution. Yes, it's really wonderful to bring US government, India government, and under one table and let them do all the decisions and how to promote. Yes, it's a great idea, Purnima. I appreciate that. But I have a very simple solution. What I really have in mind is, as you know, there's a lot of M&A activity between Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Cognizant, and all those big guys. They do a lot of M&A. So my proposal is the countries can get together only through cross-border M&A. Like our Indian companies coming to work with the small SME companies in America, our SME companies going to India with the MSME companies in India. As well, I know the India is really picking up right now with the incubators and innovation centers and of course a lot of accelerators and so on. So that also obviously falls under the MSME sector. So what I want to propose to really take this forward to the next step, to really make a difference for all these MSMEs, all the startups in India as well, the similar, we have probably 23,000 IT companies in US that are Indian owned, one way or the other Indian owned. That's a big number, 23,000, and the total is maybe runs into millions. But so the point I want to make to you is, how do we connect these people? How do we bring them together? Okay, so the only way to do that is, to really set up a forum of the small enterprises, both in India and US, and we are in terms of M&A. When I say M&A, it could be equity investments, minority, majority, investments, strategic alliances. So this is my thought, and after listening to everybody today, I feel we should do that, and I'll be more than happy to extend my time to really take this the starting point today. And Purnima, I did visit Denver, and I went to Salt Lake City. A lot of companies from Bay Area are moving to Austin, Salt Lake City, because Bay Area is very expensive. And I live in Alpharetta. In a 5-mile radius, we have maybe 3,000 small companies, all IT. Okay, maybe 5-10-mile radius of Alpharetta, which is like a Bay Area of Silicon Valley. So that's where the future is of India. Is not the Infosys, Wipro, and TCS. It's really the MSME sector. And I'm also spoken to some of the MSME events in India already. And that's my proposal is, I think we should take this as a ground to let's kickstart our efforts here, and let's connect all our MSMEs from India and all the SMEs in America. We can create a forum and we can have monthly meetings, and I think there we can create a lot of traction in terms of cross-border investment. Cross-border investment is the most successful way to make our MSME and SME companies successful. Those are my thoughts with respect to what we should be doing as an action item following up to this meeting. I think this needs to continue on a monthly basis. We should have monthly webinars, and of course, I'll be more than happy to participate as well, conduct some of these. And I've got a toteam available with me to take care of this in terms of inviting the MSME in India as well as the SMEs in the US. And let's really, today could be the kickstart, but then we've got to continue this, and we got to do it monthly, every month. And trust me, there'll be a big, forum that we can create, and either cross-border investments, strategic alliances, M&A. I think that's the way to go in terms of bringing success to small companies, MSME companies in India, and the SMEs in America. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you. And unlike US, India does not have a culture of M&A at the small company level. And I think this is slowly coming in. And the large IT companies have all had inorganic growth. They do it as a matter of routine. They go and acquire companies, and that's how they grow. But we would like to work together with you to take this further. I think there is huge opportunity in terms of promoting the M&A activity, cross-border investments, and I think that is where you have to provide that comfort, because US is a very legalistic society. If you talk to a small company, many of them they can't even afford the fee of a large law firm. So it is that comfort, and our diaspora there can provide that comfort. And I think let's take this idea further. I totally agree with you. Friends, we have come to the end of the program, but I was told we have Mr. Ravi Chandra, who is the past president of IT Serve. He is with us and he wants to say a few words. He, as you know, is a predecessor for Mr. Tamala. So I would now request Mr. Ravi Chandra to very quickly share his views with us. And I must apologize, we have run much beyond our scheduled time. So Mr. Ravi Chandra, over to you.
And this is Ravi Chandra, CEO of SoftPath. We are a 22-year-old organization started here in Atlanta, Georgia, with operations in Hyderabad, India, and Canada. And now I was past president of IT Serve Atlanta and not like the national region. So just a correction there. And but I was the immediate past president for a U.S. Pan-Asian American Chamber of Commerce, a 35-year-old organization for the Southeast region. So, and thank you for this opportunity to speak here. Thank you, CG Atlanta, for this great opportunity. I just want to share our journey in the last 22 years. So our India operations, we've been in Hyderabad, India for 16 plus years with over 300 people working there in Hyderabad. So one thing that we did, with all the pandemic and for the last 1 year, it's all everyone is opting for work from home. So we did the same, and we went ahead and we did one more thing. We went to a tier 2 city, Warangal. So because we are talking about Warangal, and last month we hired 100 people in Warangal. So, and we're that, and not only that, with all the potential, the great potential that we have seen, and of course Warangal is my hometown. So we went with a mission of my home, my job. So people are working from where their respective place, So I'm very happy to hear from Mr. Jayesh Ranjan that Telangana government is providing free facilities for the people who will be setting up in tier 2 cities. So that's a great initiative, and we'll definitely look into that because our presence in Warangal is going to be around 200 people. So we definitely it's a sweet surprise for us. So we'll be very happy for that. And when we were there, our team, they met the Dean of REC, NIT Warangal, and we are setting up our incubation center there in NIT Warangal with our artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cybersecurity practice. So we have seen an excellent talent in the tier 2 city. We are very happy with what we are doing. And just to in the last 1 year, we were hiring people from everywhere, Ongole in Andhra Pradesh. And now we started our mobile development practice from a remote place in Rajasthan. So our team is placed in Rajasthan, and it's all we are global but acting locally. So we it's a very good initiative, and I also want to thank the India Soft and all the dignitaries and all the the Consular General's initiative. Thank you very much for what you have done. I wish I have heard we had this meeting last month, so I would have taken the benefit of the free facility in Warangal from Jayesh Ranjanji, what he said. But anyway, we are going to go back and ask for that now. So a great platform.
Can I request you to be a little brief because you have already exceeded that time.
So thank you, Nayan. Thank you for everyone, and a great initiative. I'm going to conclude now.
Thank you. I have a request from Lina Chaudhary, and I can only accept that if you promise to be within 1 minute. Lina, she wants to be the Midwest region in the US. So please go ahead and please keep 1 minute in mind.
Sure. Good morning, everybody, and namaste. I'm Lina Chaudhary. I'm the president of Placement Experts USA. It's a retained recruitment firm. Apart from a recruitment firm, I also manage a education company and a fashion platform. The goal of me being Asian origin, it's always been to connect Indian companies and share Indian culture with companies here. So with that said, I am also the chamber member or board member of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. In the past 3 years, we've seen a lot of support, especially for my businesses and connectivity, because St. Louis and the Midwest region is heavily investment in minority upliftment. Because lately, all the focus with all the Biden government and before that Trump government also, there is just like Purnima mentioned earlier, Denver region, St. Louis region and the Midwest region offers a lot of opportunities in terms of lower cost, very compatible, very good resources, especially quality of education is very good. So the understanding, the Midwest values are always very conservative, which very much matches with our Indian values, which is we're very hardworking and we like to save costs and also make big profits. So that's what I've felt here in the Midwest region, living here for 20 years now. So the ecosystem here right now, the bureaucratic, all the chambers, I work very closely with FBDC, Illinois, and Missouri offices. They're very supportive right now of the immigrant community. And I don't know how many companies you know about within St. Louis region, but there are a lot of big Fortune 500 companies also. With that said, I would say think about St. Louis and the Missouri region and Illinois region also. Thanks, Amitji, for bringing me here and giving me this opportunity to speak. I also am really happy that IT Serve is here because I have not worked directly with IT Serve, but I know CSAT and Glider, those are two platforms, AI enhanced platforms that we use. So I'm really glad to be here with all of you, and I look forward to connecting with all of you and taking this forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So, when we had one session with for US earlier, and we realized the need that there should be one more session. US is such a large place, and we missed out on many speakers. And now I feel that we should have one more session because even two is not enough. But what I would say is, please go and visit the exhibition. And Panditji, you want to talk about M&A? You find out companies who are a strategic fit with some US company. Maybe when you go and visit IndiaSoft, you can, out of 150, identify maybe 5 or 10 which you feel have the right kind of profile where they can work with a US company and they are candidates for a M&A. Similarly, Lina ji, if you find, and also Purnima ji, if you find people who have a profile where there is a service which is required in the US or a product or a solution. So this is the kind of, opportunity. It is not limited to just outsourcing. You can invest in a company which is exhibiting there. And more importantly, I was in Maryland, and just before my meeting, there was a meeting happening at a county where they were talking about how to do business in Africa. And they invited me to say something, and end of it, they all realized that if you want to enter the African market, probably going through an Indian company makes a lot more sense because we have a strong relationship there. So I think opportunities are tremendous, and I'm so happy that we had so many advocates of SMEs in this program, and let us take it forward. Please do visit IndiaSoft. And my colleague, Mr. Gurmeet Singh, who's our Executive Director, I would request him to propose a vote of thanks and also tell you how to enter the exhibition area in a very simple way so that, we are able to welcome you to the IndiaSoft exhibition also. So thank you very much for being with us. Mr. Gurmeet Singh, may I request you to give a formal vote of thanks?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this opportunity. As a famous quote says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it. It's like wrapping a present and not giving it. So let me express my sincere thanks and gratitude by proposing a hearty vote of thanks to all our distinguished speakers of today's session. I wish to start by thanking Mr. Sanjay Chadha, Additional Secretary to the Government of India, Department of Commerce, for sparing his valuable time and sharing his thoughts with us. Mr. Chadha is a good friend, philosopher, and guide to us in the Council and has always been a great support and source of inspiration to us. Sir, thank you once again for joining us today. My sincere thanks to Dr. Swati Kulkarni, India's Consul General at Atlanta. Thank you very much, ma'am, for making us convenient to join us today and sharing your valuable thoughts. Our SMEs, entrepreneurs, friends would look forward to further assistance from you and your team once they enter the US market, particularly the Atlanta region. Let me also thank Mr. Amit Kumar, our Consul General of India at Chicago. Sir, please accept our heartfelt thanks for a very informative address which brought to light avenues for furthering cooperation between two countries. My heartiest thanks to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan Garu, Principal Secretary IT, Government of Telangana. Mr. Ranjan is a long-standing friend of the Council and supported us in organizing several previous editions of IndiaSoft at Hyderabad. Sir, we are all aware of the favorable ecosystem that Telangana has developed so far for the IT sector, and we sincerely hope IndiaSoft 2021 will bring many new opportunities for our small businesses based in the state. Sincere thanks to Mr. Saurabh Gaur, Joint Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT. Sir, please accept our sincere thanks for presenting a very detailed picture of India's IT space and policies being pursued by the Government of India under your leadership. Thank you so much. Thanks to Mr. Simon Nines, CEO, New Jersey Innovation Institute. Mr. Nines brought to discussions some very crucial issues related to innovation framework necessary for nurturing new ideas before they may reach the stage of fruition. My sincere thanks to Mr. Alexander Slater, Deputy Managing Director, US IBC. The insight provided by you will be of tremendous help to our delegates and will help widen the scope of Indo-US trade and cooperation. Thank you very much, Mr. Alexander, and please convey our wishes to Ambika ji for the best of health and well-being. Very special thanks to Dr. Purnima Boria, founder and CEO of National US-India Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Purnima, your journey itself is a testimony to how Indian entrepreneurs create value around new initiatives. I'm sure our entrepreneur friends would have learned a lot from your words, and we would look for your continued guidance and support for our common endeavor to support the small businesses of both the sides. Mr. Raghu Chitimala, CEO and Managing Director, Techstar Group and National President, IT Serve Alliance, is another shining example of Indian diaspora making meaningful contribution to the American story. Sir, your words were as inspiring as your entrepreneurial journey. Please accept our heartiest thanks. My sincere thanks to our old friend, Mr. Pundi Narasimhan, Chief Mentor, STS Worldwide, for sharing his thoughts with us. Sir, listening to you, we all felt better informed and also better equipped to deal with uncertainties of new markets, and certainly your words has given us a new hope and encouragement to do more for our SMEs business together and jointly. As a popular quote says, you need only three things to change the world. That is vision, passion, and action. So I must say that Team IndiaSoft is quite fortunate to have our visionary, passionate, and action-oriented mentor, leader, and a friend, Mr. Nalin Kohli, Chairman IndiaSoft, and past Chairman ESE, who actually conceived IndiaSoft 20 years back when we started the event with just 30 exhibitors and 120 business delegates participation. And here we are, 21st edition, 200 exhibitors, and over 2,300 delegates so far as on date from 73 countries. And I'm sure under your leadership, with another 7 days remaining, we are going to cross 4,000 delegates. That's my perception. And I'm sure we'll achieve that. On behalf of Team IndiaSoft, our sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. Kohli for his sincere efforts that IndiaSoft has reached where it is today. Finally, thanks are due to our distinguished delegates and exhibitors and all the guests who have joined us today's session. My special thanks to delegates from US and other countries who have joined us today. And of course, special thanks to my team, IndiaSoft, Vikrant, Vikas, Asad, and all the team members, Seema Kakar, who have really worked hard to make not only this session, we have a series of sessions, all, we count every Power Pack section and we find, every session is getting better and better. And that encourages us to do more and bring more sessions on the table for the benefit of our membership. Before I conclude, we would like to extend a very warm invitation to you to visit 21st edition of IndiaSoft 2021, which is live now over virtual platform until 31st March 2021. Here you find our places. Event website is www.indiasoft.org, and you will find a link to the virtual platform on the homepage itself that will take you to the virtual platform event. Here you find the lobby of the exhibition, from where you will find access to sign in and just putting your email as the username, and you can choose any password so that you can enter again and again using the same credential. You can just enter and you will find very innovative 150 small businesses showcasing a plethora of different verticals of IT, blockchain, fintech, edtech, and all new and innovative technologies. And I'm sure you will find a very interesting companies to work and partner with. And even if you're looking for some good partners for your products and services in the Indian markets, I'm sure you will find some very interesting companies. And I encourage you all to please visit the event until 31st of March. And for any assistance, you're most welcome to connect with Team IndiaSoft, and we'll be very glad to assist you to connect with the right company or a right partner in case you are not able to find a good one. So we have another sort of companies. So please stay connected, and we will be very happy to connect you. As we say in IndiaSoft, meet, connect, and grow. So we invite once again everyone to join us in 21st edition of IndiaSoft. And with this, let me thank you once again, all of you, for joining us today and bearing with us. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you, and see you at the exhibition.
Thank you, Nalin. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you all.